In this video, I'm going to walk you through 15 of the most incredible and exotic salmon species from around the globe. We'll explore fish that can grow larger than a human, species that exist in only one lake in the entire world, and salmon that have been swimming in the same waters since before the last ice age. Trust me, by the end of this journey, you'll never look at salmon the same way again. But first, let me blow your mind with just how diverse this family really is. While most people think salmon equals pink fish from Alaska, the reality is that these species have conquered everything from Mongolian rivers to Mediterranean coastlines. Some of these fish are so rare that scientists are still discovering new things about them, and others are so massive they're basically the stuff of legends. So, let's start our journey in the land of the rising sun with a salmon that's as beautiful as it is mysterious. Cherry salmon might sound like something you'd find in a dessert, but this Japanese beauty is anything but sweet when it comes to survival. Found primarily in the rivers and coastal waters of Japan, Korea, and eastern Russia, the cherry salmon gets its name from the stunning pink and red coloration that males develop during spawning season. These fish are absolute masters of adaptation, with some populations spending their entire lives in freshwater, while others venture out into the ocean before returning to spawn. What makes cherry salmon truly fascinating is their incredible flexibility. Unlike their more famous cousins, these fish can switch between being landlocked and anadromous depending on environmental conditions. During spawning, males develop a distinctive hooked jaw, and their bodies transform into a brilliant display of cherry red and pink hues that would make any artist jealous. They typically reach about 2 feet in length, but what they lack in size, they make up for in sheer determination and adaptability. Now, if cherry salmon impressed you, wait until you meet the absolute giant of the salmon world. Sakhalin taimen is basically the grizzly bear of the salmon family. This massive predator can grow up to 6 feet long and weigh over 100 pounds, making it one of the largest salmonids on the planet. Found in the remote rivers of Sakhalin Island and surrounding areas, this fish is so rare and elusive that many anglers consider it the holy grail of salmon fishing. These prehistoric-looking beasts are apex predators that will eat pretty much anything that fits in their enormous mouths, including other salmon, small mammals, and even birds. Their bodies are built like torpedoes, perfectly designed for ambushing prey in the cold, fast-flowing rivers they call home. The Sakhalin taimen can live for several decades, growing larger and more impressive with each passing year. Unfortunately, their populations have declined dramatically due to habitat loss and overfishing, making every encounter with one of these giants a truly special experience. But let's shift gears from the massive to the magnificently colorful. Amago salmon represents one of Japan's most prized native species, and for good reason. These fish are like living rainbows, with bodies decorated in brilliant red, orange, and silver patterns that seem almost too perfect to be real. Endemic to the rivers of western Japan, Amago salmon have been culturally significant for centuries, often featured in traditional Japanese art and cuisine. What sets Amago apart is their incredible homing instinct. These fish can navigate back to the exact stream where they were born, sometimes traveling hundreds of miles through complex river systems. Their spawning behavior is particularly fascinating, with males establishing territories and engaging in elaborate displays to attract females. The fish develop distinctive breeding colors that intensify as spawning season approaches, turning them into some of the most visually stunning salmon species in the world. Moving from the Pacific to the other side of the world, we encounter a salmon with an equally compelling story. Black Sea salmon once thrived in the rivers flowing into the Black Sea, but today represents one of the most critically endangered salmon species on Earth. These fish are living relics from a time when salmon populations were abundant throughout the Mediterranean region. Found primarily in Turkish and Georgian rivers, Black Sea salmon have adapted to the unique conditions of their warm water environment. What makes these salmon extraordinary is their resilience in the face of adversity. Despite facing habitat destruction, dam construction, and climate change, small populations continue to survive in a handful of rivers. These fish have evolved to spawn in warmer waters than most salmon species, and their life cycle has adapted to the Mediterranean climate. Scientists are working desperately to protect the remaining populations, as losing this species would mean losing millions of years of evolutionary adaptation. But the story gets even more intriguing when we look at another European endemic. Danube salmon, also known as huchen, is the largest salmon species in Europe and one of the most impressive freshwater predators on the continent. These fish can reach lengths of over 5 feet and weights exceeding 130 pounds, making them true river monsters. Found in the Danube river system and a few other Central European waterways, Danube salmon are apex predators that have been swimming these waters for thousands of years. Unlike most salmon, Danube salmon spend their entire lives in freshwater, never venturing into the ocean. They're incredibly long-lived, with some individuals reaching ages of over 20 years. These fish are ambush predators, lying in wait behind rocks and logs before exploding forward to capture their prey. Their massive size and predatory nature have made them the stuff of legends among European anglers, though sadly, their populations have declined dramatically due to river modifications and pollution. Now, let's explore a salmon that exists in just one place on the entire planet. But before we do that, if you're enjoying the video so far, please consider subscribing. It only takes 2 seconds and it's free. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's go back to the salmon. Biwa salmon is found exclusively in Lake Biwa, Japan's largest freshwater lake. This makes them one of the most geographically restricted salmon species in the world. These fish have been isolated in this ancient lake for thousands of years, evolving unique characteristics that distinguish them from all other salmon species. What's remarkable about Biwa salmon is how they've adapted to lake life. Unlike their river-dwelling relatives, these fish have developed specialized feeding behaviors and spawning strategies perfectly suited to their lake environment. They've become incredibly efficient at utilizing the lake's resources, developing a diet that includes everything from small fish to aquatic insects. The isolation has also led to unique genetic characteristics that make them invaluable for scientific research into salmon evolution and adaptation. Speaking of isolated populations, let's journey to the Armenian highlands. Sevan trout lives exclusively in Lake Sevan, Armenia's largest lake, situated at an elevation of over 6,000 feet above sea level. This high-altitude environment has shaped these fish into something truly special. The extreme conditions, including freezing winters and intense UV radiation from the high altitude, have created a salmon species unlike any other. These fish have developed remarkable cold water adaptations, including modified blood chemistry that allows them to remain active even in near-freezing water. Their spawning behavior has also adapted to the short growing season at this elevation, with precise timing that maximizes their reproductive success. The crystal-clear waters of Lake Sevan have also influenced their coloration, with many individuals displaying stunning silver and blue hues that reflect their pristine environment. But if you think high-altitude lakes produce impressive salmon, wait until you meet the true giants of Siberia. Siberian taimen is basically the apex predator that nightmares are made of. We're talking about a fish that can grow over 6 feet long and weigh more than 200 pounds. Found in the pristine rivers of Siberia and Mongolia, these monsters are so massive they've earned the nickname river wolf. Unlike other salmon that die after spawning, Siberian taimen can live for over 30 years, growing larger and more formidable with each passing season. These prehistoric beasts are ambush predators that will attack anything from fish to small mammals that venture too close to the water's edge. Their jaws are packed with razor-sharp teeth, and their strike force is absolutely devastating. What makes them even more incredible is their intelligence. These fish learn from experience, becoming craftier and more elusive as they age. The largest specimens are so rare and legendary that indigenous peoples have created myths and stories around them for generations. Now, let's head to the Mediterranean for a salmon with a tragic story. Adriatic salmon once populated rivers throughout the Adriatic Sea region, but today teeters on the brink of extinction. Found only in a handful of rivers in Montenegro, Bosnia, and Croatia, this species represents one of Europe's most endangered fish. These salmon have adapted to the warm Mediterranean climate, developing unique spawning behaviors that differ dramatically from their cold water cousins. What makes Adriatic salmon fascinating is their incredible journey. These fish migrate from the Adriatic Sea up into mountain rivers, sometimes traveling over 100 miles to reach their spawning grounds. Their bodies are built for this epic journey, with powerful muscles and streamlined forms that allow them to navigate rushing mountain streams. The males develop distinctive hooked jaws and vibrant coloration during spawning season, transforming into something that looks almost mythical. But if you want to talk about mythical, let me introduce you to a fish that lives in one of Europe's oldest lakes. Ohrid trout exist only in Lake Ohrid, an ancient body of water straddling the border between Macedonia and Albania. This lake is over 3 million years old, making it one of the oldest continuously existing lakes on Earth. The Ohrid trout has been evolving in isolation for hundreds of thousands of years, creating a species so unique that scientists consider it a living fossil. These fish have developed remarkable adaptations to their ancient lake environment. They can dive to incredible depths, sometimes exceeding 900 feet, where they hunt in complete darkness. Their sensory systems have evolved to detect the slightest vibrations and chemical traces in the water. The spawning behavior is particularly fascinating, with fish migrating to specific underwater springs that have been used for countless generations. Their silver bodies can grow up to 4 feet long, and they're known for their incredible longevity, with some individuals living over 20 years. Speaking of remarkable adaptations, let's venture to the volcanic peninsula of Kamchatka. Kamchatkan rainbow trout thrives in some of the most geologically active waters on the planet. The Kamchatka Peninsula is home to numerous active volcanoes, and the mineral-rich waters they create have shaped these fish into something extraordinary. These trout display some of the most vibrant colors in the salmon family, with rainbow hues that seem to glow against the dark volcanic rock of their habitat. What sets these fish apart is their incredible resilience. They've adapted to waters that can range from near freezing to surprisingly warm, depending on geothermal activity. Their diet includes everything from salmon eggs to small mammals, making them opportunistic predators that can thrive in the unpredictable Kamchatkan environment. The spawning displays are absolutely spectacular, with males developing colors so intense they look like they're on fire. Now let's journey to the steppes of Mongolia for a salmon most people never knew existed. Mongolian lenok inhabits the crystal-clear rivers flowing through Mongolia's vast wilderness. These fish are perfectly adapted to the extreme continental climate, surviving brutal winters where rivers freeze solid and scorching summers where water temperatures soar. Their bodies are built like living torpedoes, designed for swift movement through the rocky rivers they call home. What makes Mongolian lenok incredible is their feeding strategy. These fish are voracious predators that will leap completely out of the water to catch insects and small animals. They're also incredibly hardy, capable of surviving in waters with very low oxygen levels. Their spawning behavior involves epic migrations through river systems that can span hundreds of miles across the Mongolian plateau. The males develop stunning golden and red coloration that contrasts beautifully with their pristine mountain habitat. Let's head back to the Korean peninsula for another remarkable species. Korean salmon represents one of Asia's most culturally significant fish species. Found in rivers flowing into the Sea of Japan, these salmon have been part of Korean culture for over 1,000 years. They're medium-sized fish, typically reaching about 3 feet in length, but what they lack in size, they make up for in cultural importance and unique adaptations. These salmon have developed incredible temperature tolerance, spawning in waters that range from nearly frozen to surprisingly warm. Their life cycle is perfectly timed to Korea's monsoon seasons, with spawning occurring during specific weather patterns that have remained consistent for millennia. The fish develop beautiful silver and pink coloration during spawning, and their return to rivers is celebrated as a sign of environmental health and seasonal change. Moving to the Caucasus Mountains, we find another incredible endemic species. Caucasian salmon inhabits the high-altitude rivers of Georgia, Armenia, and surrounding regions. These fish live in some of the most pristine mountain waters on Earth, at elevations that would challenge most other salmon species. The crystal-clear streams they call home are fed by glacial melt and mountain springs, creating an environment that's both challenging and perfect for these specialized fish. What makes Caucasian salmon remarkable is their incredible jumping ability. These fish can leap up waterfalls that exceed 10 feet in height, using their powerful tail fins to propel themselves upstream. They've also developed unique feeding behaviors, specializing in insects and small crustaceans that live in their high-altitude environment. The spawning displays occur against backdrops of snow-capped peaks and ancient forests, creating some of the most spectacular natural scenes imaginable. Finally, let's end our journey in the mountains of Mexico with a truly golden discovery. Mexican golden trout lives in high-altitude streams in Mexico's Sierra Madre Mountains, representing the southernmost salmon population in North America. These fish are living jewels, with bodies that shimmer like molten gold in the clear mountain streams. They've adapted to the unique conditions of high-altitude tropical mountains, surviving in an environment that combines intense UV radiation with dramatic temperature swings. These trout have developed incredible efficiency in their high-altitude environment, where oxygen levels are significantly lower than at sea level. Their golden coloration isn't just beautiful, it's functional, providing protection against the intense mountain sunlight. They feed primarily on insects and small invertebrates, and their spawning behavior has adapted to Mexico's distinct wet and dry seasons. The next time you see salmon at the store, remember that you're looking at just a tiny fraction of this amazing family. Out there in remote rivers, ancient lakes, and pristine mountain streams, these incredible species continue their ancient journeys, carrying forward genetic legacies that stretch back millions of years. And honestly, that's pretty amazing when you think about it. If you watched this video this far, you might as well subscribe. Anyways, I'll see you guys around.